What's up, y'all? Here to play some Doom. I'm a little late to streaming tonight, but we're here anyway. So let's do it. Hmm. What level was I on? Research complex. I'm just gonna try this again and see what I can get as far as the secrets I'm missing. Because I'm missing two secrets, but I only know what one of them is. I mean, I have like all the like visible secrets you can see like on the map. So what I'm missing is literally like a secret area that has like a health thing in it, maybe, or like I don't know, some kind of power up or something. Guess we'll find out. I've got this little, collectible guide like I was using the other day or yesterday, I think it was, and I'm just gonna go right down the list. And if I don't get it, then this guide is messed up. Ooh, I have 4 Praetor tokens. Is that enough to get anything? It is! Grab ledges faster, huh? Boy, I'm sure glad I can do that. Whatever.
It's time we meet in person. My office is on the second floor of this facility.
Yeah, I got, me and Kat and her brother and mom were all playing some Scrabble, which is why I was a little late to the stream. We started at like 8 o'clock. You know how it is.
Demonic presence at unsafe level. Lockdown.
Bam. What? Oh, I can use a... Damn it. Of course there's not another one in here. I fucked that up, huh?
Demonic presence eliminated.
Man.
Lockdown disengaged.
Alright.
Look upon the faces of these extraordinary living ones. These are the best and brightest minds, the most devout members of the UAC faith, fully indoctrinated. They have assimilated the UAC core belief, a world of power.
Argent cell. That's, What are the Argent cells? I mean, I have it, so maybe it's not on the map anymore. I mean, obviously I have it though, so I don't really need to I know I got the auto map as well. But I might as well go back and get it again. Is there like another secret the other way, maybe? Are you a secret? Apparently not. Alright, there I am. Auto map. There's nothing else in here. So that data log is like up here on the desk, I believe. Oh, hey. Rip his arm off and beat him up with it. That's cool, I guess. So that data log was like here. Yeah. So that's not a secret. Is there another fella? There's the other fella.
We are not advancing enough applicants, and our faith is nothing without believers.
Alright.
We cannot
Continue
conduct our
on.
work without them.
Demonic presence
Ooh,
at Alpha Street. With levels. Lockdown in effect.
Oh yeah, okay. It did. I was gonna say, did that not count? That would have been silly. Ride down the elevator after the conversation. This is just a straight, like, battle area. Oh, this is a gore nesting. Oh. Lives up to its namesake, I guess. I drive to like deliver groceries on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it gives me a lot of time to just drive in my car, obviously. So I've been listening to a podcast on Spotify. It's called The Losers Club, and it's a Stephen King based podcast. And I'm a big fucking Stephen King nerd. Like, all of the books that I own, not literally all of them, but like 75% of the books I own are Stephen King books. And I have like probably like 25 or 30 of his books. And like for the past, I'd say like 4 or 5 years, I've been reading his stuff like near religiously. And it's just really interesting to listen to a podcast where these people are talking about as extensively as I'm into him. Like, they're talking about the books that he's written that I've read. Like, they're going in chronological order, so I've only listened to like 4. I've listened to 3, and I'm on the 4th one right now. So, for those of you who are not familiar, or at least super familiar with his bibliography, he his first book that he released, or he published, I guess, was Carrie, which, you know, is like the prom story with the girl with the telekinetic powers, and she gets the pig blood dropped on her, and she just goes fucking ape shit and kills everybody. That was his first ever novel that he published. It was in like fucking 73 or something like that. So I listened to that podcast and it was good, but I haven't read that book in such a long time. I read that book in high school, and I am almost 8 years removed from high school at this point. But I remembered, like, you know, the basic story beats, and I remembered some things about it, like that the format of the book is kind of strange,
Disengaged.
because it's not. I don't think it's told from Carrie's point of view. It's got like a, or maybe it is. Maybe the chapters are point of view based. So sometimes you'll be on Carrie's point of view, and sometimes you'll be, you know, in the gym teacher's point of view, and you know, the bully and stuff like that. But I also remember distinctly that, like, towards the end of the book, like, the whole ending of the book was they use like newspaper clippings of like the incident that happened at the prom, and I always remember that for some reason. That was one of the things that stuck with me, because I mean, not a lot of books do that. I mean, not a lot of books do the thing where, you know, like, switch point of views either. A lot of them have like one or maybe two point of view, you know, or main characters that they follow.
Do not be alarmed by the system update. It is a
But then the
prototype
next
of our
one
interdimensional tether.
was
For me to
Salem's
pull you
Lot.
back from hell.
So Salem's Lot was the second book he published, which is also like one of his most famous. I mean, Carrie and Salem's Lot. Actually, his first three novels are like three of his most famous novels. Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining. I mean, everybody knows The Shining. And I think most people know Carrie and Salem's Lot as well. But I think less people probably know about Salem's Lot. So Salem's Lot, I have read more recently.
Welcome.
Because I actually read Salem's Lot like
Take whatever supplies
3 years ago, maybe. It was a book I read like after I had like gotten way into Stephen King. So I think Carrie was one of the first books I read of his.
The destruction of the Origin Tower is...
But I wasn't like super into Carrie, and I wasn't like, oh man, I need to read more Stephen King.
to helping you close the portal.
What was my first Stephen King book? It might have been Carrie, my first Stephen King book.
Inscriptions on a large stone
Um,
artifact we pulled from hell.
But
Days of the program.
it wasn't the book that got me into Stephen King. I think the book that got me into Stephen King was actually The Shining.
Is our most closely guarded
Maybe It.
asset.
I read them both around the same time, but I don't remember which one I read first out of It and The Shining.
Manipulate hell's energy.
But I took some post-secondary courses in high school, so I was taking college courses.
Let us to
And one of my college courses was
us how to harness the power of the well.
it was like a 7:30 a.m. class,
For years,
and it replaced my first period class.
Lazarus Labs, which is only
And I had
accessible
another
through secure
post-secondary class I took.
advanced research
I don't remember what time. I think it was 8 a.m. But that replaced my third period class. So I had this weird like period of time where
there as well.
I would have to get to school decently early, like 9:30ish, to take my second period class But then after that class was over, I basically had another study hall. But with how the school worked, they didn't like students leaving the campus unless they were like going home for the day. So I just had to stay in school. But I mean, I couldn't go to another class or something. So I would just go to the library and read all day. Well, not all day. I would read for that entire period. So that was like, 45 minutes every single day that I would get to read whatever I wanted. I wouldn't even check the books out. I would just go into the library and pick up the next day. Because most people didn't even rent out books at the library. At least not like Stephen King books. So I read it, and I read The Shining. I did read The Shining first, I remember, because I remember it was very near the end of the school year when I read it. Because I finished it like a week before I graduated high school. And I remember it being fucking crazy. I love that book. That's my favorite book of all time. But, so yeah, the episode I was watching today, or listening to, I was finishing up the Salem's Lot episode, which I wasn't huge on Salem's Lot either. I guess it was kind of one of those situations where you hear how good something is, so you have these like crazy high expectations, and then once you read it, you're kind of disappointed. I wouldn't say it was bad or anything. Like, it was a good book. I was just expecting it to be a lot scarier. And there was not a lot of scary elements to the book. There was some creepy imagery and like the occasional, scary sequence or whatever, but I was expecting more of like It level scares where, I mean, there's like so many scares in It that it's like you couldn't even count how many there. I mean, it's also a way longer book too. I think It is probably like twice as long as Salem's Lot. But then after I finished the Salem's Lot episode, it moved on to The Shining, which I enjoyed The Shining quite a bit. I still think I like the movie better. The movie was just, I mean, it's so good. It's a classic. I don't know if it's like the 10 out of 10 movie that everybody says it is, but it's definitely better than the book. Although it's kind of hard to compare them because they're so different. I mean, the adaptation is just, the movie is just nothing like the book in terms of like the story and the characters. I mean, the characters are very like one-dimensional as far as character development. In the book, the characters go through some serious arcs, and in the movie it's just like it almost seems like in the movie that Jack, the main character, well, it's funny because Jack Torrance is played by Jack Nicholson, so I could say Jack and it would apply to both, but Jack almost seems like he's already fucking crazy before the movie ever even started, like, and I think that kind of is intentional, because I know Stanley Kubrick doesn't, I've seen a few of his movies, not a ton. I don't know a ton about his like style, but I know that he is not super character focused in a lot of his movies. It's more of like the the cinematography and making everything very deliberate. So he wasn't like trying to make, that was one of the points that they made on the podcast was like he wasn't trying to make a character movie like the book is. Like the whole book is about this evolution of this family and how, you know, Jack goes from like a troubled, you know, alcoholic to like a crazed fucking killer. But it also, I mean, it also details, you know, Wendy, who's the wife of Jack, and like how she kind of goes from being like a placid, you know, a doormat basically, to a very like strong, you know, female lead that you can like get behind. And you know, she gains a lot of like strength in the movie, or it's shown that she is a strong character, whereas you might otherwise think that she's not, just because of, you know, the circumstances that she's been put through and how she's reacted to them. Anyway, my entire point was that you can compare the book and the movie, but I mean, it's not really effective to compare them because they're both very different. Now there's a lever around here somewhere. And then I got through all of the Shining episode because like I said, I drive a lot, like 4+ hours of driving when I deliver these groceries. But I got started on his fourth book, which is actually a collection of short stories called Night Shift. And I've read Night Shift, I think. But it's been years and years and years ago, like in high school, and I don't remember a ton about it. I think there was I picked up Night Shift for like one or two certain short stories, and I don't remember what they were. I'd have to like look at a list of what stories are in Night Shift, but so they're on that podcast, they're doing it's like, oh, there's that lever. They're basically going from worst short story to best in their format and just talking about each one individually rather than like doing the normal rating system that they've done in the past. What the fuck do I do here? Okay, continuing on. So where's that Ardent Cell at? Because I'd like to get to that area to make sure that I didn't miss like a secret there. I'm just really excited to like continue on with that podcast because I mean I do the grocery driving once or twice a week, I mean, and it's just a nice, you know, relaxing, like, you know, I get to drive and listen to this podcast and I don't have to worry about, you know, it doesn't feel like work, I guess. I mean, the money is not super great, but I think it's worth it just because it gives me a little bit of time to just chill by myself and, you know, do stuff like that. But like I said, I've read so many Stephen King books that I'm just really excited to like get into the books that I've read like recently. Like I think the last one I finished was The Stand, which I had actually read before like 3 or 4 years ago, and then I just reread it again because I was going through like the whole Dark Tower. There's basically like a reading order for the Dark Tower, like if you want to get like the full experience. So that's what I was reading through, was like all the books that are connected to the Dark Tower, basically. And it was really it's really cool to like see all these books that I've read before in a different light as like a connection. Ooh. That's alright, that wasn't on the list, but whatever. Because I had read a couple of the Dark Tower books. The fuck are you doing, bro? I had read a couple of the Dark Tower books, like somewhat recently, like maybe like 2 years ago. Because I would do a lot of reading at work. Because I was working at a factory, and the machines I would run basically run themselves, so I could sit there and read, and every like 20 minutes or so stand up and change a box out. It was really light work. So I read a lot, and it was nearly exclusively Stephen King. And how the fuck do I get there? Oh, I can double jump to there? That didn't work. Anyway, I don't even know where I left off. Basically, I read a lot of Stephen King. What started me on this Dark Tower kind of binge is I started reading a book called Hearts in Atlantis, and there is a story in that book, because that's another one of those books that's like, it's got like 4 stories in it, I think. But one of those stories has a lot of connections to the Dark Tower. Or maybe all of them do, I don't know. But I was like, well, I don't want to read, this story and then end up spoiling a whole bunch of Dark Tower stuff for myself, because I still want to, read that relatively unspoiled. There are some things that have already been spoiled for me, but nothing that was like, nothing that made me not want to read it.